Hi, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to another YouTube video. So in today's video, I am now 16 weeks pregnant, which is super exciting. I'm going to actually be recapping my first trimester workout. So my very first training block after competing, I found out I was pregnant at the very end of it. So I was basically able to do a regular, quote unquote, regular training block right after competing, and then I immediately modified things. So I'm going to be talking about what those modifications are and how I've adapted to everything to still be able to maintain my strength as much as possible, but albeit that is not obviously the main focus right now. The main focus is being healthy for pregnancy and for labor and delivery and for baby. So I'm going to talk about what some of those modifications are, and I'll show you all of my training updates, how things have progressed from 1 week pregnant to 12 weeks pregnant, and then next week I'll go into getting caught up from the beginning of the first or second trimester. Officially set up all the Christmas lights. This is my favorite part of the house, my zen room with the Christmas ambiance. Pretzel likes it too. It's his first Christmas with us, and I think he's finally found a spot that he likes the most in the house. He loves laying on there and he blends in with under the tree. We still need to set up all the ornaments though. But I have to go to work. Sorry, Pretzel. So I'm now 16 weeks pregnant, which is super exciting. It also feels very relieving to have announced it at work so that everyone knows and everything. My students were surprisingly very excited, which I did not think they would be since it's high school, but yeah, they had a very positive reaction to it and they were really excited to vote on the gender and everything. So I'm revealing it to them today. So these are the results of the poll that I took on Friday, and today is Tuesday after our long weekend for Veterans Day. But as you can see, most of them thought that I was going to have a boy, about 2/3 thought boy versus 1/3 girl, 68% to 32%. And today I'm going to show the reveal videos. They'll be very surprised to find out that I'm having a girl. So right after I finished my last powerlifting competition, I knew I was going to be trying to conceive, but I didn't know how long it would take. So I was like, I'm just going to be training as normal, because when I find out I'm pregnant, I can make modifications then. There's no reason to change what I'm doing right now when I don't have a reason to change it. So I went into my first training block post-competing, and when you're post-competition, the nice thing is you are training lighter anyways. So I was already in a volume rebuilding phase, going a lot lighter. But the funny thing is I did end up hitting some PRs between 3 and 4 weeks pregnant. Obviously, before finding out that I was even pregnant, I ended up hitting some matched bench PRs, and then on deadlift I hit a 4-rep max at like RP7, 315 pounds, which was crazy. At that point I was 3 weeks pregnant, so that's too early to even have a positive test by that time. And then I ended up hitting some pause squat PRs as well, which was cool. And then the funny thing is I knew I was pregnant on the day that I did those squats, because even though I had a negative test that day, I was like, I'm getting super out of breath. I don't know why I'm getting so out of breath. This is strange, because I was supposed to go heavier that day and I ended up going lighter than I had anticipated. So I was like, what's going on? Why am I so weak today? And I was like, maybe I am pregnant, but then it was still showing up negative. And the next day I got a very, very faint line, to the point where I thought that it was just a false positive. Like, it was literally like you had to zoom in super close to even see that there was anything on the line. So I was like, it's probably negative. I don't know. I went to do my bench workout and my stomach was like kind of cramping. So I was like, okay, this is weird. I'm going to get a digital test. And then I took a digital test and then I found out that I was pregnant, which was really exciting. So immediately from there, I ended up changing everything around a lot. So I texted my coach, Kristen. She was able to modify my workouts for me. We talked about the adjustments and what I felt comfortable with doing. It also helps that I do have a pre-postnatal certification. So for years and years and years, I already knew and have been getting educated about the modifications that you need to make during pregnancy, what is safe, what is not safe. And then also just the years and years of training experience, 7 years of competing in powerlifting, and then years and years, like literally a lifetime of working out. So I know what I can do with my body. I know what is safe, what is not safe, what is the smartest and not so smartest moves to do during this phase. So yeah, we were able to make some changes right away. So the first change that I made was removing the beltless training, because The biggest thing that you want to avoid when you're pregnant is creating too much intra-abdominal pressure. So when you are powerlifting, you are breathing, you're taking a big 360-degree breath, and you're trying to fill your stomach up. So front, side, and back with as much oxygen as possible. And the reason why you wear a belt is so that you have that external force that you can breathe into. And while you are doing the repetition, you are holding your breath the entire time. But when you're pregnant, that is a big no. You do not want to do that, because when you are holding your breath during the rep, you're not getting oxygen to your body and your baby. So you want to make sure that you are breathing within the movement. So the very, very first thing I did was take out a belt and significantly lower the weight so that I'm able to perform this new breathing mechanism. So what you're doing is you're working with your pelvic floor. And I'll do a full video breakdown on all of this so that I can detail this in more detail later. Just trying to get this video out. I'm a little bit belated on getting all caught up. But anyways, so when you are, let's say you're doing a squat, on the way down, that is the eccentric. So you want to relax your pelvic floor, and you're taking an inhalation as you're going down. And then when you're going up, you are exhaling and you are bringing your pelvic floor back up. So when you are moving, you are training to relax and contract your pelvic floor. And it's not like a squeeze, it's like bringing it back up to normal. Relax, bring back up to normal. So the biggest thing you want to be aware of, aside from the breathing and creating too much pressure in your stomach, is making sure that you're not too tight in your pelvic floor, because if you're just always in a state of tension, which tends to happen for maxing out on heavy, heavy lifts, which obviously I'm not doing right now either, even though I'm still squatting, benching, and deadlifting, I'm going very, very conservatively. But the big worry, the concern is that you're going to have too much tension, and then when you're in labor, you're not going to be able to know how to relax. So you're only practicing the contraction part, and you're not practicing the relaxation. So with every single movement, whether it's a lunge, a squat, a leg press, whatever it is, you are trying to inhale on the easy part, exhale on the hard part, and you are doing that with your pelvic floor. So you're breathing and working your pelvic floor at the same time. So that was the biggest thing, just making sure that all the movements that are currently in your program, because your belly is not going to be limiting you. Right now, still at 16-week pregnant, my belly is not limiting me. I'm starting to grow, which is great, making progress. I'm up 6 pounds, which is awesome. Totally on par with what I'm supposed to gain. And I'm definitely going to have to gain a lot since my body fat percentage was really low starting out. But you want to make sure that all of the movements that you're doing, you're able to maintain the proper positioning and control, breathing, and working with your pelvic floor. So you could pretty much do whatever you were doing before pregnancy, as long as you are comfortable and fluent with all those movements. So squat and deadlift, I did not have to change my actual technique or mechanics. I just had to change how I was breathing, which did make me need to lower the load significantly. So I would say on average, I'm probably lifting about 20 to 30 pounds less on squat and about 30 to 40 pounds less on deadlift. It still may look like a lot of weight, especially to the average gym goer, but considering my previous starting strength, the weights that I'm lifting are very, very light for myself. The biggest thing that I had to change was regarding my bench. So I mentioned that I knew that I was probably pregnant because I was cramping during my bench, and I was like, why is my stomach cramping? So when you are powerlifting, you're trying to get into an arch. You are breathing into your stomach, and breathing into that stomach, that creates pressure in your stomach, and you don't want pressure in your stomach. So I had to change to make it so that I'm not using leg drive. Like, I am stabilizing a little bit with my legs if I have a variation with my legs on the ground, but I'm only squeezing my shoulder blades the bare minimum amount so that I have shoulder stability. And I'm breathing into my chest during bench so that I don't have any stretching or any discomfort or any weird feeling in my stomach. So that it is all in stabilizing my lats on the way down, and on the way up, exhaling and pushing through my chest. I did have to change my touch point for this to happen. Touching anywhere on my stomach felt weird. I felt a stretching in my stomach. So I have to just touch on my chest, which is making my bench significantly weaker. But again, who cares? And also a lot of the variations used on bench are now Larson bench, floor bench, benching variations that take all of the legs out of the equation and make it naturally in a flat back bench position. Really, you just want to make sure that you are comfortable and that you're not creating tension in your pelvic floor, you are breathing, and you are fluid within your movements. And I will say, I spent a lot of time talking about the changes I made with squat, bench, and deadlift, but accessories, which is like the reverse lunge, the Cossack squat, a lat pull down, a bicep curl, those are the easiest movements to do during pregnancy because you're probably already breathing in that mechanism. You're not doing the Valsalva maneuver, you're not holding your breath and bracing, so you're probably used to breathing and doing exercises in that fashion anyways, at least that's how I felt. So I felt a lot of those accessory movements were really easy to transition into doing for pregnancy. And one of the things that you need to be aware of, because you could probably do most exercises that you're doing before, but there are a lot of contraindications for core. So you want to make sure you're not doing anything like a plank or crunch. Some exercises that are good for pregnancy are like a Pallof press, or if you're doing a dead bug, things that are dynamic and fluid, so you are able to practice that breathing and you're not ever just like holding and creating that tension in your stomach. So if you don't feel comfortable with anything that you're doing, always stop. Everything that I'm doing feels comfortable. Everything that I'm doing is lighter. And I've made a lot of changes as I've talked about. One other thing I will say is that before I even touch any weight whatsoever, and I will do a full video breakdown on this in a future video, I am doing just breathing exercises where I'm practicing on the pelvic floor relaxation and contraction within body weight movements. So I'll just lay on my back and I'll practice the breathing. And then I'll add in some leg movements where I'm practicing the breathing, slowly build from there. There's kind of like a circuit flow that I do to get into those positions. And then if it's a leg day, I'll do like some single leg RDLs with body weight, practicing that mechanics, doing that with squats, body weight, and doing some core activation with the activation in the breath. But yeah, everything's been feeling really good. I was also really lucky that the entire first trimester, I just felt really good. I haven't had to change anything too drastically. Like I've hit all 5 workouts every single week, my entire pregnancy. I've hit generally 10,000 steps a day. My average, I think, sometimes dips down to like 9,000, but yeah, pretty much moving every day, stretching 25 minutes a day. Everything has been the same, and I think that goes into factor with just my lifestyle and how I'm eating and fueling and recovering my body. I am definitely eating a lot. I always eat a lot, but I'm having to intentionally focus on eating more. My biggest symptom of pregnancy in the first trimester was getting really, really hungry, to where I had to add in like second breakfasts and second lunches. But yeah, I have had a really positive experience and I've loved being pregnant. And even though I miss PRs, like I really don't miss them that much because I'll get them back someday. It really doesn't matter. Right now I'm enjoying my mother-daughter workouts and enjoying the changes, and it's nice to have some different goals and just moving my body in different ways. And I will say that what I'm doing now will change drastically as my belly grows. Like only up 6 pounds. My stomach is not interfering with my movements, but eventually I'm not going to be able to reach the bar off the ground. So am I going to be doing a conventional deadlift? No, I'm probably going to be doing an elevated deadlift off the ground, much, much lighter, or a sumo deadlift position. Am I going to be able to squat with a narrow stance? No. Probably going to have to use a box, widen my stance. Maybe squats will get to a point where eventually my belly's so big that they're uncomfortable, and I'll have to do some lunges or some lateral lunges, whatever feels comfortable. Like I said, I feel very confident with how I'm moving. I feel very confident with everything I'm doing, and I'm happy with how everything's been going so far. So yeah, thank you for watching today's YouTube video. In next week's video, I'm going to break down weeks 13 through 16. It's my first training block in trimester 2. So yeah, let me know what else you want me to talk about in these videos. I'm going to be eventually getting on a week-to-week basis, so I'll go in more detailed and less macroscopic lens, more microscopic on the individual workouts and all of the things that I'm doing specifically. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.